Are you a football fan? Did your teams win or lose yesterday? I got to tell you, both of my teams lost. I was hoping for a Ravens Lions Super Bowl. Not that I'm not a big fan of any of the teams, but I mean, Kansas City, they've been there, what, 3 times in the last 4 years? I was just rooting for the Lions because of all the teams that have been in the NFL in the Super Bowl era, the Lions are the only team that has not made it to said Super Bowl. Okay, there are three other teams, but they didn't come into the league till later. But the Lions have been there since the Super Bowl has been played. The Lions have been in the league, and they've never been the only team that has been in there the whole time that has not. So I was hoping for that. Not going to second guess, but there were 2 4th downs when they could have kicked field goals, and they opted to go for it, and both times they didn't convert. There's 6 points. They could have won. Just throwing that out there, Dan Campbell. Though I love Dan Campbell. Love the Lions. Love the tenacity. So I'm hoping next year that the Lions can finally get in there. They've already gone further this season than they have in like 30 years. So nothing to be ashamed of. Again, I nothing against the Chiefs, nothing against 49ers, great teams. I was just hoping to see the Ravens and the Lions in the Super Bowl next year. I digress. This is not a sports show. No, this is the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update. And so let's update on some classic rock if we could. Now, the theme for today's update is tours. Number of tours being announced that I want to share with you. Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie are teaming up for a tour called the Freaks on Parade. It will be Rob Zombie, Alice Cooper, Ministry, and Filter will also be there. That kicks off August 20th in Albuquerque. They'll hit 21 cities in total. REO Speedwagon will be on the road this summer, touring for the first time with Train. That kicks off July 8th in Somerset, Wisconsin. And right now, this may change. It's set to wrap up September 11th in Phoenix. Phoenix, of course, I think is the home of Alice Cooper. Speaking of Alice Cooper that we just talked about. Another big show. This is the one of all of them that I would really like to see. Heart with Cheap Trick hitting the road. They start April 20th in Greenville, South Carolina. And they'll wrap up September 20th in Morrison, Colorado. Squeeze will be opening on some of those dates. So that's kind of cool too. I mean, that's a great lineup. I have seen Cheap Trick and I've seen Heart. I think I saw Heart in the early 2000s. Early 2000s. Seen Cheap Trick about 12 times. Love Cheap Trick. If you ever have a chance to see Cheap Trick live, that's where you got to see him is live. I mean, their albums are great too, but they're one of the great live bands and they still bring it. I mean, they're a great band. I can't get enough of Cheap Trick. So if you have a chance to check out that tour with Heart, I think that would be a great show. So maybe you saw this. Speaking of football, in the Levi Stadium in San Francisco yesterday, Journey played before the game. And they played like a 4-song set. I didn't know this because you couldn't tell, right? They played Don't Stop Believing. Of course, Journey, a San Francisco band, Bay Area band. They changed the lyrics to Don't Stop Believing. How could you do such a thing? Well, here's why. And it's ironic that it was San Francisco and Detroit. We know the words of Don't Stop Believing are just a small town boy born and raised, or just a city boy born and raised in South Detroit. Well, they're a San Francisco band. They can't do that. They're in San Francisco Stadium. Even though there's Detroit people there, it was awkward. So they changed the lyrics to born and raised in San Francisco. It doesn't ring as well. Okay. It was a cop out. However, all the Detroit people in the stands were shouting the words to born and raised in South Detroit so loud that Didn't even notice they changed the lyrics. I didn't know they'd change the lyrics till I read this afterwards. I just thought it was funny. And then, of course, the game came on. San Francisco was down by 17 points at the end of the first half. I thought Detroit had it wrapped up, but no, they came back. They won. Judas Priest singer Rob Halford says that Ozzy Osbourne should be knighted. Speaking to Classic Rock magazine, Halford, whose band released their new album Invincible Shield in March, suggested that the former Black Sabbath singer deserves the honor for his services to music. Quote, if one person deserves a knighthood, it's Ozzy Osbourne, Halford says, just for the joy he's given people over the years. What do you think? Does that warrant a knighthood? I don't know. I don't understand how all that knighthood stuff works. I don't know. But I mean, he's as deserving as anyone. Probably. Why not? Russ is joining in. He says he loves Cheap Trick. Thanks, Russ. I do too. One of my favorite bands. This idea of knighthood. Lots of musicians have been knighted. The Beatles have been knighted. I don't understand. It's just kind of an honorary thing. I don't know that it really means anything. The friendship, I'm reading from loudersound.com. The friendship between the two singers, Halford and Ozzy, stretches back decades, with Halford even stepping in for a bronchitis-stricken Ozzy at a Black Sabbath show in New Jersey in 2004. Quote, when the Black Sabbath album came out, and like everybody else, their sound shook me to the core. He told Classic Rock's sister title Metal Hammer in 2017. Rob also tells a funny story about his own encounter with the late Queen Elizabeth when he was introduced to the monarch by entertainer Cilla Black at an event to celebrate British music held at Buckingham Palace. Halford says, quote, I was standing in line with, it's Cilla, not Celia, sorry. I was standing in line with Cilla, who I'd met earlier, waiting to meet the Queen. Cilla has met her before, and she says, this is Rob Halford. He's flown in from Finland to be here. And the Queen said, you play music? What kind of music do you play? So I said, heavy metal. And she said, oh, heavy metal. Why do they have to play so loud? So I just went, so you can bang your head, Your Majesty. It was such a lovely night talking about heavy metal to the Queen. That's awesome. Okay. Love me some Rob Halford. Of course, Invincible Shield coming out March 8th. New Priest album. We'll talk about that when it comes out. Going to the mailbag again. You can email me, classicguitarrock@mail.com, and we might share it on one of these updates. We might share it on the podcast. We might ignore it. No, we'll never ignore it. We read it. Positive, negative. One of these is negative. I'm going to share it with you. Here's the first one. Dear CGR, on your recommendation to check out the new Saxon album, Hellfire and Damnation, I gave it a listen. Wow, I love it. Thanks for the recommendation. I've been familiar with them, but have never really heard much other than Wheels of Steel in the early 80s. But I'm totally digging this entire album. Thanks, JT Blyer, JT Blyer, Rochester, New York. JT, thanks so much for listening, and thanks for the email. One more. This one is entitled, Are You Smoking Crack? Okay, it's not off to a good start. Are you smoking crack? I just watched a video you posted on YouTube several years ago where you say the Doors are overrated. Seriously, terrible take. But I do like your podcast, LOL. Please come to your senses. There's a smiley face. I can't apologize. I said it. I stand by it. The Doors are horribly overrated. Sorry. They're just not that good. And if this means people get mad, I'm sorry. I can't. I gotta be me. Okay. It's loungy sounding. It's, Riders on the Storm. That's a pretty good song. There's a few good songs. They're not terrible. They're just overrated. I like a Doors song. They're okay. But there are some people that just think they're the greatest band ever. And no, they're not. They're very overrated. Sorry if that offends anyone. Come On Baby Light My Fire was the number one song when I was born. So I have a connection to that song. That was the number one song on the day I was born. Doesn't change the fact I think they're way overrated. And this is harsh when I say this. When an artist dies, they become way more popular than they would have had they not died. That's just the way it is. Okay. Any artist that has died, the fact that they died tends to make their music that more legendary. Nirvana, again, nothing against Nirvana. Would Nirvana be held up as the great band that many people think they were had Kurt not died? I don't think so. Okay. Elvis, because he died, he's Michael any of them, any artist that dies early, it's just human nature. We tend to elevate their music, whether or not it really deserves it or not. And I think the Doors really fall into that category. They're not bad. I just think they're overrated. Sorry. Hope that doesn't offend anyone. We can still be friends, even if we disagree. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate all your support. Again, you can always email me, classicguitarrock@mail.com. We'll do it all again tomorrow on the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update. Bye-bye. Live long and prosper.